All right, y'all. Welcome back and happy Friday. I hope that y'all's day is going outstanding so far. My name is Bull, and this is the Bluechip Breakdown. Today, we're going to be talking about Tennessee's quarterback room. We've been talking about it like over the past probably like week or so, but we've been focusing mostly on Joey Aguilar, George McIntyre. We've talked a little bit about Ryan Staub, but we haven't spent, I think, enough time talking about Faison Brandon. At this point, y'all, I'm starting to open up to the thought that maybe even if Joey comes back, which I think that he will be back, I think that maybe somebody could end up winning this starting spot other than Joey. I don't think that it's very probable, but I do think that it is possible. So we'll be talking about mostly Faison today, but everybody else inside of that room. If y'all could, when y'all are in here, please do make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. It definitely helps us to grow, pushes this channel out to more Tennessee fans, college football fans, just like y'all. And big shout out to our members on YouTube and on Patreon. Y'all can join us there or here on YouTube by clicking on the join button just below this video. Y'all can join us on Patreon at patreon.com/Bluechip Breakdown. So I do have a poll up, and I'm going to get to that. First and foremost, it's just asking, what are the chances that somebody other than Joey Aguilar is our starter, even if Joey comes back? So at 100%, 25% of people voted on that. We have most people are voting on less than 50% chance, so 75% of the people say that. I'm about right there with y'all, man. I think that that's probably how it's going to end up playing out. Let me also tap into this chat for my dog 10 Vols 1084. Appreciate you, dog. Saying GBO, go Vols. Y'all are more than welcome to chime in to the chat. We will always be getting to our members and our super chats first, but we want to try to get to everybody today just because we want to make sure that we are tapping in with the good folks out there, man. And again, please do make sure to like and subscribe. I probably will start saying that more and more throughout these videos. Now, let me start off right here and show y'all how this quarterback room looks. I think that we got 4 ballers inside this room. Spring practice starts, I believe, on March the 16th, something like that. So it's coming up in about like a month or so. The spring game, I think, is April the 11th. So I mean, all this stuff is happening fast. Joey probably won't be able to like participate on the field in spring practice because he's still rehabbing. I think he had a shoulder surgery. He had like a tumor or something that they took out, but towards the end of spring practice, it's possible that he could do some things. But while he's not out there necessarily participating physically, he should be out there mentally. It's going to be a lot more rest for guys like George McIntyre, Faison Brandon, and Ryan Staub. Again, I think that all of these guys have some good traits. I'll also show y'all some of my personal grades because we've talked a little bit about the models grades, but I have like my own thoughts on these quarterbacks. We'll take a look at some film with Faison Brandon in the state championship game. I got some things clipped up for y'all, but either way, I think that from top to bottom, just from like a physical gift standpoint, Faison probably is the most physically gifted. It's either him or it's George. Both of those dudes, man, I mean, they are just like top of the top, you know what I'm saying? Like they have NFL talent. There's no question about that. But they might also have like elite NFL talent as they continue to get bigger, faster, stronger, learn more about the game, all that type of stuff. Football is a team sport. It's not just about having a really good quarterback. The whole thing has to be good. Now, if you can win a national championship just based off of like your quarterback being a juggernaut, but that's very rare that happens. I don't know that we have anybody at this point that will be capable of getting that done. I think that what Tennessee's looking for is more like a game manager. We've moved more towards like the pro style system. We'll talk about some things here in just a second to just kind of like highlights how that's changed. But yeah, I mean, just go get you a whoever the starter is has to be able to take care of the football. They have to be able to actually process and go through reads, which is going to be different from every year except for 2025. And they had to make maybe like a few big time throws, you know what I'm saying? Like a few big time plays in some of these big moments. And hopefully that's going to be enough for us to make it to the college football playoffs. If we can't get there that way, I think that the odds are pretty slim that we can actually make it. But yeah, wanted to show y'all this room first and foremost. Let me tap back into this chat. So from our bro right here, saying that Joey's definitely winning that starting job or that starting quarterback job for sure. Okay. I think that you're probably right, bro. I do. So let me show y'all this. First and foremost, what it's showing you is the quarterbacks from 2022. I started right there because that's sort of like the litmus test. We're always trying to get back to that offense, to that sort of like quarterback play, so on and so forth. But from that season all the way up to this past year in 2025, what it's showing you are the dropbacks and how many dropbacks in the season for these players that they had at least one player open. That's the big number there. So it's gotten better every year except for 2024, where it was at its lowest. But that's the main reason that we made so many changes to the offense. Joey, on about 88% of his dropbacks, saw at least one open target. That could be a target in the backfield, it could be down the field, it could be anywhere, but that goes for everybody, right? The number under that is showing you how many times they drop back with 2 or more open targets. That number straight up has increased significantly every year. Now, it looks crazy whenever you're looking at Hendon Hooker. You say, well, dang, man, it was only 0.9%, less than 1% of his dropbacks had 2 or more open targets. But that offense was straight base, veer and shoot. And that's how it's set up. Like, it's set up for only one person to get open. So Heupel has made some tweaks to it. He's done some different things every year. For like Milton, it was a whole bunch of wide screens. So he might have had a couple of people open off of like RPO, wide screen type of stuff, you know, basic slants, whatever. For Nico's situation, it was a lot of underneath things because teams played a lot of deep coverages. So most of what he saw was underneath targets that were open, off of RPOs and, you know, things like that. And then for Joey, it was people open a lot. You know, he saw a lot of open people. So I did want to start off right here just to let you know, like, the offense has changed so much. It's not, it's always great to have somebody that's operated within your system come back and start for that second year, third year, whatever. But as we're making the changes, I don't know if it's as big of a deal as some people think. And you could say, is this offense now more quarterback friendly? If it's more pro style? In some ways, yeah. If the quarterback can actually process, it is more quarterback friendly. But if you have a quarterback that, like on the opposite side of that coin, is young, very talented, and maybe isn't going to be able to process as much, then that veer and shoot might actually work better just because the processing is already built into it. So I just wanted to kind of like show y'all that part of it first. And Tennessee will still continue to run veer and shoot stuff. Like I noticed with us last season, if Joey started to, or at least to me, it felt like if Joey started to struggle some, then we got out of more of the tight sets and the pro style stuff and went back to the veer and shoot to simplify reads and to kind of get them back going. But you have to get out of that. Like you can't stick to it these days because everyone knows how to stop it. You know what I'm saying? So it works in spurts, but we definitely have to move more towards the pro style elements, something that we will continue to talk about over the course of the offseason. Now, the next thing, speaking of pro style, Tennessee needs to do more empty sets, okay? This is just showing you how many empty sets, which means that there's no running back in the backfield. It's just the quarterback, and it's nobody else. You're splitting or spreading the field out with basically like 5 wide. Okay. Tennessee's always been at like the lower end of the spectrum relative to the rest of college football whenever it comes to like going empty, but it's dwindled down significantly in 2025. Only 5 plays where we had an empty set. And 4 of those plays, we motioned to the empty set. So we only had 1 true empty set. Now, empty is what you like as a quarterback. You should love running empty, just like quarterbacks should love 7-on-7. That's essentially what empty is. It's like, hey, man, we're passing it here, or I'm running it. I'm the star of the show. Just like for me playing corner, right? Real corners love to play press man-to-man coverage because, hey, I get to showcase all my skills. I think that I'm that dude. That's what I want to do. So I don't know if Tennessee like dropped off so much as far as running the empty sets because it's just what Coach Heupel wanted to do, or if it is more because maybe Joey doesn't operate the best when it is an empty set. Maybe he needs more play action things. I don't know, but I think that is a major, major problem. The more that you move towards pro style, the more that you have to run more empty stuff. You know what I'm saying? So just to kind of like piggyback off of that, let me show you how Tennessee looked in 2025 versus the rest of the SEC and then Indiana. Y'all can see what everyone else is doing. We are like way below what anybody's doing, unless they run I don't know, like a wing T, wishbone, like those types of offenses. Obviously, they're never going empty. But yeah, that has to get picked up. And again, my question is this a Joey Aguilar problem? Is it something that he can learn and get better at? If it is on him, or was that some sort of like lapse in judgment from the staff? Because you just do not want to run an offense with this little empty sets. Okay, so now let's talk about Faizon, man. I'm gonna bring this up and then I'm gonna tap back into the chat because I see that there's some more coming in. This one is from Andrew. And Andrew, what's going on, bro? He's saying the hype does seem to favor older players by a lot. It will be hard for one of the others to beat Joey out if he returns. Personally, I think that George or Faison have higher ceilings. Yeah, I'm there with you too. I think that he feels a lot more comfortable operating off of what he knows. He's probably not big into change with his personnel. He really isn't. I don't think huge as far as change to his scheme, but I think that 2024 it forced his hand. He had to make a change because if you're not getting better, then you're just getting worse. So many things about that offense from a scheme standpoint just took steps backwards. You know what I'm saying? And y'all are seeing that more with just like how many people were open and so on and so forth. So I think that a lot of that was on hype, Halsley just not managing things well. But yeah, I mean, if they wanna win, you have to put the best player out there. And I don't think, I'm gonna come right back to this, David. Sorry to pull you up, but I don't think necessarily that anyone's gonna if one of the other quarterbacks outside of Joey is right there with Joey, like they're neck and neck or maybe slightly better, I don't think that they're going to win the job. I think that they would have to be like a lot better than Joey to be our starter in 2026. And there's a lot of other things that goes into it that we'll talk about if I can think about it once we get done with all this information. All right, so David is saying that his only question is if he wins the injunction, it's for the regular season. The NCAA can deny the postseason since it's separate season and delay him playing and force another injunction. So yeah, I think that is a very good point. Like I said, there's so many different layers to this. There's so many different ways for you to look at it. This is where I'm at with all these things as far as like the injunction and so on and so forth. I don't think that the NCAA has a strong legal case, and that's what it would have to come down to. Like if he wins inside of a court of law, they can't say, oh well, you know what, it's a separate season now, so well, I mean, maybe they could because look, I'm not a lawyer. Maybe they could do that. Maybe they say, hey, look, you got to go back to court and you got to get it re-granted and all that. If they do, I'm sure that Tennessee's going to have a backup plan to go right back to the exact same court, to the exact same judge, and get it expedited. I don't think that it'll take long. Joey filed his personal lawsuit on the 30th. He got his TRO on the 4th, so it didn't take long, right? So I don't know how much of an issue that will be, but you're exactly right, David. It could turn into an issue. But I just think that legally, the NCAA, their hands are going to be tied with this. I mean, it is such a kind of like slam dunk case from like an amateur lawyer is what I'm trying to play right now. I don't think that I don't think that we have anything to worry about. All right, so Faizon, this is his high school numbers. Y'all can see he's right now listed at 6'4", 206. I think that he's already up over 210 pounds. He was the Gatorade Player of the Year in 2024 for North Carolina. Passing wise, almost 7,500 yards passing, 90 touchdowns, only 10 picks, 71%. That's for like everything, not just as a starter. Rushing wise, almost 1,500 yards, 24 touchdowns on the ground, and a total of close to 9,000 yards of offense. Outstanding. So y'all can see at the very bottom what he's done as a freshman. He was a backup. As a sophomore, he went 13-1. His team lost in the quarterfinals of the North Carolina playoffs. They played really good ball out there too, just like FYI. But that's the only game that he lost as a starter, y'all. That is the only game that he lost. Again, it's not just about the quarterback. It's a team game. It's an organizational game. The coach has to have a really, really good scheme and so on and so forth. But he's a big part of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, he is a stud. So as a starter, he went 35-1, and he has won 2 state championships. I think that speaks volumes. So now let's jump inside of this film room, y'all, and let me break down some things with this game that I saw in the state championship. Here's now. Okay, all right, good. All right, so everything is working now. Sorry about that, y'all. Yeah, I'll probably have to come back and redo that whole thing with the audio working. But yeah, the whole point in breaking that down, hopefully y'all saw some of the things that I was trying to highlight. It's a good thing that I actually put up some of those kind of like graphics for y'all to see some of the things that I'm pointing out there. But yeah, Faison is a guy that has a lot of NFL traits as a rising freshman from a throwing standpoint, from a fundamental standpoint, from a running standpoint, everything. So let me move this thing forward, y'all. Let me move it forward and let's talk about George McIntyre as far as a high school player, because we haven't got to see him operating as much as a college player. So this is just showing you, man, he played at Brentwood. So in-state kid, y'all can see his numbers, really, really good, almost 8,300 yards passing, 62 touchdowns, 19 picks, about 66% percent as far as the accuracy goes. Rushing wise, 12 touchdowns. He got sacked a lot. He had a different, I think, offensive coordinator every year that he was a starter. As far as what he did from like year to year, his junior season, it was really tough on his team. Says that they went 2-10. I don't know how they made it to the I don't know how they made it to the playoffs going 2-10, but either way, his total record was 19-17. I don't put that all on George. You got to put it on the whole team, but George did make some very big plays, so he has a lot of tools. He also has a very strong, like NFL, I'd say, foundation. So this is the next thing that I want to talk about. It's just the way that I see these quarterbacks heading into spring practice. Keep in mind that Joey Aguilar probably won't be able to participate over the course of spring, maybe towards like the end of it. I don't think that he would do anything in the orange and white game. It's going to be all about everybody else. But for Joey, I think that his arm strength is good. I think that his accuracy is also good. As far as running, I think that it's kind of like above average, right? Fundamentals, I think that he probably has maybe the worst overall fundamentals out of all these quarterbacks. Him and then Staub, I got them actually even at about a C. That's where Joey really needs that work in the offseason at. His fundamentals can take a big, big step forward, especially from the perspective of play in, play out. Like he has to be consistent with what he's doing. But he's played a whole lot of football. This is going to be his this is going to be his 8th year as a college athlete. It would be his 4th season as a Power 4, or as a D1, kind of like starting quarterback or starting-esque quarterback. 2nd season as our starter, 2nd season as an SEC starter. So you love all those things about him. As far as GMAC, I think that his arm strength and his accuracy is probably better than anybody else. He's got a very, very strong arm. I think that he is very accurate. I think that he's going to be capable as a runner. Fundamentals, I think that they're very, I'd say, good, very solid, right? But can they get better? Yes. He is still young, so that's part of it. But yeah, moving on to Faizon. Arm strength, I think, is also good. Maybe not quite as strong as George's is. Accuracy, I think that he's good, as far as accuracy goes. Running, like I said, he's going to be the best runner. Y'all probably didn't hear me saying that, but yeah, I think he's the best runner in this room. As far as his fundamentals, I think that they're good for a rising kind of like freshman, but they can definitely take a step forward. Obviously, he hasn't played at all on this level, so that's going to hurt him. If he can figure it out, if George can figure it out, then I could see them actually looking a lot better than Joey over the course of fall camp, because they will have kind of a leg up just because, hey, man, we'll see them in spring if they look really good. Whoever looks the overall best, and it might be both of them, or it could also be Staub, but they could kind of like push Joey Aguilar once fall camp starts up. But reps, that's going to be the problem, because there's only so many reps, especially working with those ones. So whoever looks the best out of those other 3 outside of Joey will have really like the best shot to ultimately maybe win that starting job outside of Joey. But talking about Ron Staub, I think that his arm strength is also good. It's right there about with Joey Aguilar to me. His accuracy definitely needs to pick up. It's probably like the least accurate quarterback out of everybody else inside of this room. Run, I think he's probably about the 2nd best runner. He does some good things with his legs. Fundamentals, he can definitely take a step forward there, but he has played a pretty good amount of football, right? Like he's been in college. I think that he's a like junior, or he's going to be a junior, or like a redshirt junior, something like that. All right, so let me tap back into the chat, y'all. Again, sorry that I had the technical difficulties earlier in this thing. Okay, let me see, what else do we have in here? All right, so this one from Fuzzy, he's saying that I guess GMAC, his junior year was a bad team. Yeah, you could see that for sure. Didn't look like he had a whole lot to work with right there. And Fuzzy's also saying that Faison will have to do something really special to start at quarterback 1. I think that it's the same thing for any of these guys. I think that they'll have to be so special. There'll have to be a lot of separation between them and Joey Aguilar. So, yeah, I think that we're on the same page from that standpoint. But yeah, maybe it is more true for like Faison, because he is that freshman. But again, for me, it's just about the processing. Can they show in practice on a consistent basis that they can go through the reads quickly? Are they throwing it to the right person on a consistent basis? Because the physical tools, as y'all can see, I feel like they're they're better for the younger guys than it is for those older guys. But it is something to be said about understanding how to operate on this level of football. So let's see, what else do we have in here? Actually, I'll tell you what I'm going to try to do. If I can, I'm going to try to see if I can get this thing back working as far as the clips that I put out. Let me see if I can maybe make that thing work real quick. I think that I know why it wasn't working. And if we can, then we're gonna go right back through it. So what I'm gonna do is bring it back up, and y'all tell me if y'all can hear me. Let me get to this one first from Fuzzy, saying that just based on how Coach Josh Heupel is done, he values the experienced older guys. I think that you're right. I do. I don't disagree with that by any means. I think that you are 100% right when you say that. Let me also tap back into this chat real quick and see where it's at right now with everybody. So chances that another quarterback wins the job if Joey comes back. We now have, most of the people are saying it's less than 50%. So 69% say that. Then 16% say that it's like a 50-50 chance that that happens. Only 6% say that it's more than likely that it will happen. And then there's 9% that say that it will definitely happen. Joey won't be our starting quarterback, even if he does come back. Okay, so y'all, I'm going to attempt to run this thing back. Let me see real quick, actually. What I'm going to do is bring it up. And all right, so y'all just let me know if the audio is indeed working, okay? Because it should be working. I'm not sure. I'm going to pause it first, and then I'm going to see if this thing is working. Y'all just let me know inside of the chat. I'm going to wait until somebody lets me know that the audio is going and y'all can hear me loud and clear. But I think that everything's good. That was actually my fault that the thing stopped working on us. Let me see. Okay, so cool. We got it right here. Yes, it is working. Okay, perfect. So now let me bring it back to the start and let me go back through this, and let's talk about Faison. All right, so first and foremost, what you want to see are the regular operational things, because if Tennessee moves more to the pro style system, it's about things being on time. It's a whole lot of time and things. 3-step drop. You got to know what you're doing pre-snap, and then make sure that you are seeing what you thought post-snap, and then be able to deliver those strikes very quickly, even in some of those tighter windows. And also, I think that Faison shows really good touch. You know, he maintains a low heart rate, even with pressure right in his face. So this is kind of like a fade, right? This is perfect ball placement. If that pass catcher continues to finishes out that route, then it could have been 6, maybe pass interference. They might have called it then. Right here, quick decisions down the field. So slot fade, perfect ball placement. And I think that a lot of what he's showing on film will translate. North Carolina, they play good high school football. I love what I saw from both of these teams. Very talented. I think that they're both very well coached. So it doesn't mean that he comes in instantly from day one and he's going to look this good. But the question is, how quickly can he get to this? I think that Faison, it's just something about him. I feel like his game will translate very, very quickly. So we'll start to see him making some of these plays, maybe even over the course of kind of like spring. So here you're seeing some more like regular operational stuff. This deeper route, that's not like a really deep out, probably 15 to 20 yards. What you want to see is 25 plus yards. Now look at this perfect ball placement with pressure creeping in on him. Like I said, man, maintains low heart rate, even with the pressure. Perfectly thrown football. It's not caught, but you'll see it again here. Just drops that right in the bucket. The football turns over well, hits him right in his face. Something else that I said that y'all might not have heard is that Hendon Hooker was, he's been like mentoring Faison. I see a lot of Hendon Hooker in Faison's game. You can see his pocket presence here. He can build off of this. He can build off of all this stuff. He's still kind of like a ball of clay. But you can see where there is a pretty strong foundation for you to work with everything that you need. But yeah, I see a whole lot of Hendon Hooker, just probably like a better version of Hendon Hooker at this point. Watch his throwing motion too, very tight. All right, so boom, look at that. Perfect stuff. NFL scouts, I'm sure, are already drooling over what they're seeing from this kid if they watch him. Now, this was the play that I watched in this state championship game where I said, dude, this is different. And you're going to, of course, he fumbles there. He's got to do a better job of taking care of the football. But watch this here. Boom. It's the burst from his lower body. He has a very, very powerful lower body. So as he's starting to work out inside of a college weight room with Derek Owings, who it sounds like is doing a great job of really just like stepping up the overall focus and drive of these players, I think that this will probably translate the quickest in his game out of anything else. With some of the throwing stuff, that should translate pretty quickly too, working with Coach Halsley and Coach Heupel, who I think are two of the best in the business as far as coaching quarterbacks up on the fundamentals. But here, red area situation, reads things well right in between the freaking numbers. Perfect pass. Pretty much called it for him. That's like, what, a 10-yard handoff. Here, another perfect fade ball. So I'm going to show you again from this angle. There's a little bit of pressure creeping up on his backside, but you want to put the phase on the upfield shoulder of your pass catcher. That's exactly where this one drops. Again, something that Joey Aguilar is great at is dropping the football inside of the bucket. If it wasn't for that cornerback holding that wide receiver, then, hey, that it could have been 6. Definitely would have been a very, very long catch. Now here, man, sprint out, pressure's in his face, goes back to the middle of the football field. Watch this. Again, maintain that low heart rate. Watch this dot. Boom. Right in between the numbers again. This is elite level stuff. Elite. Okay. And I cannot emphasize this enough that I do feel like it's going to translate pretty quickly. So now we're just seeing more of the just like running stuff. You'll see it again. Running through tackles at the line of scrimmage. So these are bigger, stronger guys that he's able to easily run through. Does a pretty good job of running through this tackle. He does need to make sure that he's taking really good care of his body. But as he gets stronger, he will run straight through those types of people. You can see him reading his blocks well. He's a natural ball carrier, and it's more of like a gift. You know what I'm saying? To be that natural at carrying a football. You can coach up some of it, but a lot of this stuff is just like God-given traits. So here, we saw T back in '98 do that same thing. So I see some of that Hendon Hooker, some of that T Martin, but pocket presence very good. Again, reading his blocks, making plays, kind of like dodging people, falling forward. And this was kind of like most of this stuff I think is in the first half, but this is almost like a game-sealing drive. Y'all see that it's tied up. In the second half, the referees pretty much like, they just like took over this game. So it wasn't as good of a game from an operational standpoint, but you're seeing them here running through the contact, falling forward. It's dudes on this team. It's several power forward players on this team that's more like that lighter blue. And then here, empty set. We just talked about the empty set earlier, so you see that he can operate out of it. There's a lot of high school quarterbacks who can do it. Again, I'm not sure why Tennessee didn't run as much of it last season, but you're seeing that if we want to run more of it, which I think that we should, he can do it here. Again, you're seeing him just like following his blocks, getting out of bounds, taking care of his body. So I'm happy that I was able to get that audio back working so that y'all could actually hear what I had to say. Thank y'all again so much for y'all's patience. So let me tap back into everything. People are saying that things are working. All right. So this one saying that the wide receiver has to put them hands up. Yeah. I think that there's a whole lot of things for like high school players that they can work on, right? But Faison's going to be working with really, really good wide receivers once he gets to Tennessee, who will put their hands up, who I think will fight for the football. All right, so maybe some. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know if he's quite that good of a runner. I think maybe, shoot, we're talking about a quarterback that's 4.3. I think that Faison right now he probably runs over 20 miles per hour, so he's probably closer to like a mid to higher 4.4s. That's just me ballparking things. Is he 4.3 though? I don't know if he's going to be quite that sort of a runner, but I don't think that he really needs to be. I don't think that, like, you can get things done different ways with different skill sets, right? I think that Faison is a lot more of a smooth runner. He can kind of like make people miss with how fluid he is as a runner. Not so much with just like the sheer speed. I also think that his power element, as he's gaining more weight, I think that that's going to be better, for his game. Now, let me also show y'all this because I didn't point this out before. But as y'all are looking at this, you can see where I think these guys' weights will be, especially George and then Faison. So I've got George at about 207. I think that this is kind of like a floor weight for him and for all these other players heading into the season. I could very easily see him being over 210. For Faison, I think at least 215, but y'all, I really wouldn't be shocked if he weighs as much as Joey Aguilar does at about 225, 6'4", 225. So he's as big, maybe even bigger than Joey or anybody else inside this room, probably stronger. He might be more of that total package from like a physical standpoint. But again, can he process? If he shows that he can do that, I could see him being the guy moving forward because, the last thing that I think this staff wants, and I've heard other people talking about this too, I think that one of the last things that this staff wants is to lose Faison. So if you let GMAC start this year, like let's just say if Joey Aguilar comes back or doesn't, whatever, but George is your starter and he has a really good season, would that scare Faison off? Or is that even better? Because now maybe Faison says, okay, so George had a really good, redshirt freshman campaign. And in 2027, If he has one more good year, then he's going on to the NFL for sure. So does that give him more confidence to want to stay? And does the staff even want to chance that? See what I'm saying? So there's a lot of factors that go into it. You could almost make the argument that it might be more of a chance long term that the staff wants to see Faison be the guy that has the best chance to be our starter over George for that reason. Now, look, I'm just speculating on what the staff might see and what they might think. I'm very high on George McIntyre. I think that he's a stud. I think the Faison is too. I think that both of those guys are studs, like straight up studs. NFL players, almost slam dunk. Stay healthy, stay out of trouble. I think that both of them will. I'm praying that both of them will. Those guys should be, they've got first round talent, right? I think that they legitimately have that. So it's not necessarily my preference. I'm just speculating on what the staff might see. All right, so we got one coming in from my dog Tay. What's going on, bro? And Tay, let me get to the bigger portion of this. All right, so Tay saying if Faison doesn't come in and start, then I hope that he gets some meaningful touches. I'm excited for our quarterback room. I am too, man. And I feel the same way. I think that you want to maybe bare minimum give some packages. Make these guys feel like, hey, you are part of this. But again, if you kind of look at it from both sides of that coin, does the staff feel like, well, if we let some film get out there on Faison Brandon, maybe other teams will come in with some huge offers, right? Like the $5+ million offers, or as we've seen here recently, the $10+ million offers. I think that it's very possible that one of these two quarterbacks, talking about GMAC or Faison, could, have that sort of a market for the next transfer portal window. It's tough, really is. One of the things that I talked with the members about in a video that we did earlier today is with guys like Derek Baker. He's a rising senior at Milton High School here in the state of Georgia. He played in South Florida, so I think he's from Fort Lauderdale, but also played here in kind of like bigger city type of ball, which I think those two areas probably the best two areas per capita. Mississippi, like that whole state, really good from like top to bottom. They might have some they might have some hot areas, but I think that just those two areas, man, are the best in the whole country. Derek Baker's played in both of those places, and he's looked pretty good. I don't think he was a starter when he was in South Florida, which just goes to show how how many studs they have. But either way, the whole point is Tennessee's working on bringing him up as our 2027 quarterback. I think that he's in the same conversation as a GMAC or a Faison Brandon. He's already 6'2", 6'3", about 230-ish pounds. He can run, he can throw. Great touch, everything. So, yeah, we might be okay if we lose one of those guys, but you want to try to hold on to all of them if you can. Is that realistic? Definitely not. So let me tap back into the chat, and actually I'm gonna make myself bigger, and then we'll come back. We'll come back to the graphics in just a second. So Fuzzy is saying that they hope whoever quarterback 2 is gets meaningful snaps. Yeah, yep. So Tay said the same thing. I think that would be huge. Andrew saying that the worst mistake Hype made was to not let George McIntyre get more playing time last season. I think so, man. I don't understand why you wouldn't do that. Could have been some of the same stuff that we just talked about, where maybe you want to hide him, maybe you don't want to scare off Faison. I'm sure that he had a reason for it, but it's not. Things will never be as much black and white. Well, I'm not going to say never, but they probably won't be as black and white as some people think. Where hey, the depth chart is the starter is just the flat out best player. Second string is the second best player, so on and so forth. It's so many politics. It's so many different moving pieces that we won't probably see that as much with this staff. Now, there are some other staff that don't care as much about that. They just care about winning. And I have more of a preference for those types of staffs because look, one of the things with George is that he is an in-state kid, so you got to be careful with how you deal with him. But that hurt Tennessee with Boo Carter because I think that's why he stayed on the team for as long as he did, because he was such a well-known player coming from that kind of like mid-state area that they didn't want to just dismiss him from the team, even though they should have done it. See what I'm saying? So the more that you play politics and the less that you make the main thing that main thing, the more trouble that you could run into. Winning cures everything. Everything. Like, people can question whatever, but if your team is winning, they can't say anything, right? People will be quiet because they say, oh, okay, well, this team is consistently in the college football playoffs. They're consistently winning these big games. We're beating our rivals. We've won a national championship. I think that's coming. I think that this team is in a pretty good spot. Hopefully that we can get that done. All right. So let me see. Who else do we have? Fuzzy is saying, I don't think that they'll look at the Simpson kid from Martin. Is he in the 2027 class? I don't even know. I think he's in 28 or 29 or something. I think that he's further down the line. I could be off on that. But yeah, I think that they are looking at him. But in all honesty, I think that the kid from Milton is like, oh boy, there is a. I think that he's way better. I'll just say it that way because I don't want to. Yeah, I think that he's a lot better than that kid. He's played up against significantly better competition too. And if you look, go and watch the highlights of Milton versus Buford in 2025 and watch the way that Buford was teeing off on this kid, Derek Baker. He actually broke his arm or something in that game, and he kept on playing. But you can see it. That is real, legitimate competition. It's a bunch of Power 4 players on the field every week that he plays. I think that might have been the last game that he played in this year, but y'all can see some of his other things. Yeah, there is a difference. We're talking about guys that are like game changers. Could potentially win a Heisman Trophy. Like you see all those things pretty easily whenever you watch Derek Baker. So yeah, I think that there is a difference. But y'all, that's actually pretty much it. There were some other things that I said. You know what? Maybe we could go through that. But I would say that that's probably good enough. The last thing actually that I'll bring up will be our wide receivers. Let's take a look at this room because we already know that the offensive line should be good, should be stout. That's going to be huge. We have to be able to run the football, stick to the run, all those types of things. But we haven't talked a lot about these wide receivers. I think that we'll probably turn the page moving forward and talk more about how these guys look, break some things down. But I think that we've got a bunch of talent. And if we run more 5 wide, more empty sets, then we can see more of these guys on the field at the same time. Braylon Staley, Mike Matthews, we already know. They're going to be starting. They should have very good years. Travis Smith, Ra, they both look very promising. I love Joakim Dotson. We're seeing him on special teams making plays. I have no reason to suspect that he would do anything less than that this year as an actual pass catcher. But I think inside-outside guy, right? He could play at the slot. That's probably where he's best suited at. But he could also play on the outside. Tyreek King, he's going to be coming up late. Love him playing inside the slot. I think that especially once Braylon Staley leaves, I see a lot of Braylon Staley in Dotson and in Tyreek King. And I'd say that with that's a big compliment, obviously. Tristan Keys. Why are we getting to him so far down on this list? Because I think that he could also he could fit in really anywhere. To me, he's more of like an outside wide receiver, but he could end up starting. We have so many players. I also think that the kid coming from Idaho State, Ian, love his game. Slot guy. I think he's more of a specialist, special teams. But man, he could help us out. So this room looks really good. We'll have plenty of options to throw the football to. Guys who can do a plethora of different things and really open up the passing game, passing scheme. They should work very well off of the play action. And I have a lot of confidence in what the offense is going to do in 2026. Will the defense step up? I think that it's very, very probable, very likely that does happen. But either way, y'all, that's going to do it. Let me tap into these last few chats real quick. So Tay saying that we have weapons at wide receiver, my favorite room on the team. Okay, so that's your favorite room. I like that. This one from Fuzzy. Yeah, I think so, man. I think that they should most definitely be worried about what Tennessee can do with our pass catchers. But what I really want for them to maybe fear more is Tennessee's running game. Because if they fear Tennessee's running game a lot and they stack the box on the outside, all those studs get one-on-one. One-on-one coverage. And then you've got the tight ends, Ethan Davis, Brame, those two guys for sure. I think Cole Harrison's going to be a better pass catching option than some people might think. Man, you've got the one-on-ones everywhere, and it should be very favorable for the offense. But slow the tempo down, help the defense out. Defense, can the front 4 be as dominant as I'm hoping it will be with a really good offseason? If that happens, y'all, this team is going to be scary. And I would feel very confident that we can beat anybody who we line up against. But y'all, oh, dang, my bad. But y'all, that is it. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. We might have some more things out for our members on YouTube or Patreon a little bit later on today. I'm going to see if I can work on a couple of things. We might actually do like another live stream later on. Obviously, tomorrow we're going to try to go live for the pregame show versus those Wildcats down at Rupp, and we'll probably have like a post-game show as well. Maybe it's going to be over with pretty late, but we'll see if we can work it all out. But appreciate y'all, and we'll be talking to y'all soon. Thanks. Peace.